So the fourth team that I'll be reviewing from the 2026 season of the IPL is KKR. एंड आई थिंक केकेआर का ऐसा मतलब इस सीज़न के पहले जब ऑक्शन था उसके जस्ट पहले उन्होंने दे वर डेफिनेटली लुकिंग लाइक दे वर गोइंग टू मेक अ लॉट ऑफ चेंजेस बिकॉज 2025 का सीज़न बहुत ख़राब गया उनका आफ्टर विनिंग इन 2024 इट वाज अ वेरी बिग fall off for them the next season, and because of that they were going to make a few big changes you could expect. And I think they did that. I think बहुत players को जाने दिया, रसल को जाने दिया, वेंकटेश अय्यर को जाने दिया, रसल being a big surprise because he's been around for a long time, even though I think form has dropped, you would say, in the recent years. You still thought Russell को शायद से they will not let go, but they did that, and I think that was a big move, and that told you कि they were really planning to get someone who could someone like a Cameron Green who was there in the auction, and I think uske liye they wanted to have the biggest push, and for that they made those kind of changes. And I think unka season ye bhi, I think it was quite a repeat of last season. The kind of cricket that they played and the problems that were there because of which they didn't qualify is pretty similar to last year. And I think KKR के लिए मैं यही बोलूँगा कि उनको पहली बात तो कैप्टन की ज़रूरत है यार. अजिंक्य रहाणे से आई डोंट थिंक हो रहा है अभी. ही इज़ नॉट like I said, he never was a T20 player. I think he found himself becoming a very different kind of a player than he was in CSK when he played in that season where he was striking at a very good strike rate. But after that, since he's been at KKR, he has struggled, I think. Few good innings here and there, but I think apart from that, overall जो एक opener से आपको expectation है, वो he does not satisfy first of all, and plus it is another problem is कि उनकी जो बैटिंग है वो बहुत टॉप हैवी है, और वो टॉप हैवी बैटिंग में रहाणे को उनको टीम में लेना पड़ता है बिकॉज वो कैप्टन है, or because of that I think everybody has to bat slightly lower than they should. And I think this problem has persisted in the last couple of years, and this year seeing the same thing, it makes you think that they really not are thinking correctly. And I think they need a captain, because I think Rahane ko I don't think they can continue with him. But I'll talk about all of that in detail. I think उनका सबसे बड़ा highlight of the season was the injuries. I think इतनी injuries हुई unfortunately with Harshit Rana, who was one of their main bowlers in that bowling attack. पथी राणा जिसको उन्होंने 18 crores में खरीदा था, he got ruled out. तो मतलब एक ही मैच खेला जो भी 1.2 overs. But I think injuries की वजह से उनका I think टीम जो एक decent लग रही थी after the auction, वो बहुत ही underwhelming दिखने लगी, और the performances also started to be like that. I think they picked up their pace, probably like halfway through, and got quite a few wins to be in contention towards the end. But you knew that it was very very a tougher task for them to qualify, and they did. So I think the good performers for them this year were, I think, Finn Allen को उन्होंने लिया. बहुत बड़ी hype थी around Finn Allen and whether he will how he will play, and the heroics that he has done for New Zealand or wherever he's played, in league cricket as well. Whatever we've seen of him as a T20 batter, will we see that? And I think starting में नहीं दिख रहा था वो, when they were struggling. I think when he came back after being dropped, he started to play way better, and I think that was one player that really did well for them. I think their best batter in terms of consistency was, I think, Ankush Raghuvanshi. Jisko I think they finally gave him the opportunity to bat in the top order. I think usko last year, because there was Venkatesh Iyer as well, he was really getting pushed down the order. And I think now, because of the fact that he had been given that responsibility as a keeper as well, and he was one of the main players in that team because he was their keeper, he was not going to be dropped. He got a good rope, and I think he started to play more consistently, and he did really well. Sunil Narine की बात करने की जरूरत नहीं. I think he was also a great performer like he always is. I think you never really see a bad season from him. Bad game maybe, but never a bad season. He's always consistent, always economical. Batters still struggle against him, which is a very big सरप्राइज, बिकॉज आप देखते हो मिस्ट्री स्पिनर जो भी आता है वो सब उनकी मिस्ट्री जाने के बाद पूरा के मतलब दे बिकम क्वाइट अ नोबडी ऑफ अ बॉलर. आई थिंक जो एक न्यू फैक्टर उनमें होता है वो जब पिक हो जाता है तब उसके बाद दे डोंट रिमेन द सेम बॉलर. एंड आई थिंक नरीन ही इज इनक्रेडिबल द वे ही इज बीन एबल टू मेंटेन हिज यू नो वॉट एवर मिस्ट्री हो या जो भी कंसिस्टेंट लाइन एंड लेंथ, बिकॉज ही इज वेरी वेरी he plays at the top level, and he does not even play for West Indies. तो बस लीग क्रिकेट खेल के आपने देखा होगा कि बहुत प्लेयर्स है who struggle because they don't get enough game time, and then when it comes to playing in IPL, it becomes difficult for them. But Nareen, I think the way he carries it out is absolutely incredible. And I think their biggest find was, I think, कार्तिक त्यागी, जिसको उन्होंने एक अपॉर्चुनिटी दी बिकॉज हर्षित राणा नहीं था. आई थिंक हर्षित राणा अगर होता तो शायद से उसको इतने चांसेस नहीं मिलते, एंड लकीली फॉर हिम, after Rana got injured, they gave him that opportunity, and he got to play consistently all the tournament fully, and he ended up becoming their highest wicket taker. So I think एक बहुत अच्छा बॉलर उसमें मिला है। मैंने बहुत मतलब पहले से ही बोला है कि एक अच्छा बॉलर है ये। ही हैड प्लेड फॉर ही इज़ बीन अराउंड फॉर क्वाइट अ व्हाइल। आई थिंक राजस्थान में भी था, एसआरएच में भी था। तो आई थिंक ही फाइनली गॉट हिज बिग सीजन दिस सीजन, and he I think is looking like a very good bowler. So these were kind of the positives. I think I'll talk about players who really struggled. And I think I'll start with Rahane. I think Rahane ने तो बिल्कुल ही मतलब मुझे लगता है कि it was very disappointing. I think he played 14 games and scored 335 runs, which is not extremely bad, but वो runs came at a strike rate of 135. दो फिफ्टीज मारे, कंसिस्टेंसी वाज कंप्लीटली लैकिंग। बिल्कुल ही मतलब मुझे नहीं लगा कि ही वाज लुकिंग लाइक ही वाज देयर एंड यू नो टेकिंग द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एज अ कैप्टन बोलो, या फिर एक यू नो एक ये चीज़ होती है कि आप इवन तो यू आर द कैप्टन, इफ यू आर प्लेइंग अ सर्टेन वे यू कैन स्टिल डू इट। आई थिंक नॉट इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरी कि एज अ कैप्टन यू हैव टू प्ले रिस्पॉन्सिबली ओनली। if your role is something that is your role as a batter or as a bowler, and your captaincy is not directly linked to it, तो आई थिंक रहाणे से वो जो टॉप ऑर्डर में बैटिंग करना है इज व्हाट ही डज। तो एक पावर प्ले में जो एक डिमांडिंग, मैंने सीएसके के वीडियो में भी यही बोला कि पावर प्ले इज द time where it has become the most demanding time, because batting may or bowling may, if you don't do well in the power play, you will struggle. I think the teams that do well in the power play are the ones who, like I said, end up on the winning side multiple, more often than the teams who, struggle in the power play. So I think that is something that they struggled with, because Rahane was not able to give them those stats. I think he was definitely struggling to get his strike rate going against spin. His weakness was very, very open to everybody, and they were using spin against him, which was making him cramp for room. He was not able to get play his shots, and singles le raha tha, ya fir he was wasting a lot of deliveries as well. So I think in the middle, whenever Rahane got to play in the middle overs, or even when there was a spinner introduced early on, Rahane struggled a lot. I think Pacers ke against, when the ball was coming onto him with good pace, he was able to hit because he's a talented player. We know what experience he has. तो उसमें तो वो शायद से रन बना सकता है, बट जब थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी हो गया था, and you had to not just survive but score runs quickly, he struggled. And I think obviously at this age you don't really expect that much from him, and I think he is the captain because you don't have any other captaincy candidate, and because of that he's in the 11. I don't think Rahane makes it to the 11 if he's not the captain. सो आई थिंक वो एक बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है जो उनको रेक्टिफाई करनी पड़ेगी। दे हैव टू फाइंड अ न्यू कैप्टन। रिंकू को वाइस कैप्टन बनाया, बट रिंकू इज ही और नेक्स्ट कैप्टन? आई डोंट नो इफ दैट इज द सोल्यूशन। तो आई थिंक उनको कैप्टन एक तो ढूंढना पड़ेगा, या फिर दे हैव टू ट्रस्ट रिंकू सिंह जैसे बहुत मतलब एक इट विल बी अ बिग डिसीजन टू टेक कि यंग प्लेयर को, एक जो कैप्टनसी का कोई ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है नहीं जिसको, वो प्लेयर को हम कैप्टन बना रहे हैं, और दैट विल टेक अ लॉट। बट आई थिंक रहाने तो डेफिनेटली इज नॉट लुकिंग लाइक द प्लेयर फॉर देम एज अ कैप्टन, बिकॉज कैप्टनसी तो ठीक कर लेगा बिकॉज एक्सपीरियंस है, बट Rahane, the batter, is definitely pulling the team down. And I think that is why I feel like it is probably time for him to pack up. And I think they might call it. And that is what I feel about him. The other players who I think underperformed were, Varun Chakravarti was pretty inconsistent. Rinku Singh was inconsistent. Cameron Green started slowly, but later on he picked up, so he was pretty fine. And then Vaibhav Arora struggled. I think he had a average season, a few good games, had his moments, but I think overall not too good. एंड देन रमनदीप सिंह, जो प्लेयर मुझे मतलब मेरे को नहीं पता कि एक कौन से टाइप का प्लेयर है, व्हाट ही एग्जैक्टली डज एंड व्हाट इज एग्जैक्टली हिज रोल इन द टीम। तो आई थिंक दीज वर द प्लेयर्स दैट आई थिंक स्ट्रगल। टीम साइफर्ट को जो लिमिटेड चांसेस मिले उसमें ही डिडंट डू सो वेल। And I think this is what I feel. I think, and I'll talk about Tim Seifert and Finn Allen, who were there two foreign openers. बहुत लोग बोल रहे थे कि इन दोनों को शायद से दोनों को खिलाना चाहिए साथ में, because they open for New Zealand together and they've been very destructive as a opening pair. तो people were saying, but that never was possible. एक तो फॉरेन रेस्ट्रिक्शन की वजह से भी, और बिकॉज दे हैड रहाणे, रघुवंशी, कैमरन ग्रीन, इतने टॉप ऑर्डर प्लेयर आपके पास थे जो आप खिलाने वाले थे, तो फिन एलन और साइफर्ट में से कि एक को ही खिलाना was going to be possible. And I think because of that they could not play both. And Finn Allen I think started as the choice because we saw what he did in the World Cup semi-final South Africa against jo 30 whatever balls पे 50 100 मारी उसने. And he took everybody was surprised because South Africa was looking like the better team going into the game, and I think the way New Zealand won that game, I think a lot of hype was there. And we've seen he's a tall guy. He has that he stands tall in the crease and hits the ball, and I think he's a clean hitter of the ball, and I think that is why he was backed. At the start of the tournament, he struggled. I think first 5 games that he played, he was not good, and I think KKR was also not going well, and that is why they decided to drop him. I think उसको drop करने के बाद टीम साइफर्ट को लेके आए. टीम साइफर्ट struggled, and after that, वापस से फिनालन को एक rope मिला, and at the end, he played 6 games back to back in which he scored a lot of runs. I think he got 100 as well, and one game in he got 93. So I think 11 innings खेल के उसने 349 runs बनाए, more than Rahane. and despite playing less games, 214 was the strike rate, which is the biggest point. कि यही चीज जरूरी है आपको T20 क्रिकेट में कि एटलीस्ट वन ऑफ योर ओपनर्स हैज टू बी बैटिंग at that kind of a strike rate if you have to be at the top level competing with these other teams which have those kind of batters in them. So I think Phil Allen has become that player for KKR, which is a very big positive for them going forward. I think and it is not just like he bats with that strike rate and gives just cameos. He also has the ability to continue batting that way and get bigger runs, which he did. I think on two occasions where he got one game against Delhi. In that chase, he got 100, which out of nowhere he just started to, you looked at him and every ball that was coming, he was taking it on and he was getting successfully, into the stands. So I think that, and then the game against GT, जब उन्होंने 250 बनाया first inning में, तब he made 93. So it was, I think, incredible he played. एंड दैट्स अ वेरी बिग पॉजिटिव एंड दैट विल ब्रिंग मी टू टिम साइफर्ट. आई थिंक उसको वो जो 3 मैचेस में फिन एलन को उन्होंने ड्रॉप किया, उस बीच के 3 मैचेस में उन्होंने टिम साइफर्ट को लिया एंड 3 मैच में बस 19 रन बना पाया वो. एक ही मैच में वो 19 बने उसमें से. बाकी 2 मैचेस में ही गॉट डक्स एंड आई थिंक ही वाज ड्रॉप्ड. फेयर इनफ. एंड आई थिंक 105 के स्ट्राइक रेट से उस 3 मैचेस में मिला के उसने वो 19 रन बनाया whatever. And nothing really much to say. I think with Finn Allen, they've got their opener, I think, sorted. They have to find some Indian opener to probably bat with him if they, let go of Rane, which they should. So I think this is about the openers, which will bring me to Ankush, which I think was their star player. I think 2 साल पहले जब वो जीते थे तब he came into the picture and was given the opportunity to bat at 3. And there was a lot of कि श्रेयस अय्यर, वेंकटेश अय्यर, ये प्लेयर्स जो हु मतलब श्रेयस अय्यर ठीक है 4 पे खेल सकता है बट वेंकटेश अय्यर हु हैज ओपनड इन द पास्ट, इसको यू आर ड्रॉपिंग टू 3 पहले तो, और अभी तो यू आर ड्रॉपिंग हिम टू 4 बिकॉज ऑफ दिस अंकुश रघुवंशी. एंड ही showed a lot of promise. He was batting at a very good strike rate at that time, but I think since that, this season especially, he did not have a very good strike rate. I think maybe it was a lot of the way things were going around, and nobody really was taking any kind of responsibility, and because of which he had probably slowed down his the innings that he played. But I think 146 strike rate, even then, not very bad. I think 422 runs. He was the highest scorer of KKR this season. 550s in 12 innings. He unfortunately got injured in the last 2 games and could not bat. But 12 inning में 550 मारे उसने. I think, which is incredible. I think वो consistently he was coming and in that middle, he was playing that role close to an anchor, you can say, or whatever, and I think he was doing really well. He's a very talented player and he's also someone who can keep wickets, which is an additional bonus which you don't have to find another keeper. So I think एक जो प्लेयर आपकी टीम में वैसे भी बैटिंग की वजह से ही है, वही अगर कीपिंग करता है तो आपको एक बहुत अच्छा एडवांटेज मिलता है. एंड आई थिंक दैट इज अ गुड थिंग फॉर देम. So this is what I feel. Ki Ankush Raghuvanshi is definitely one of their future aspects for them, going ahead from here as well. That will bring me to, I think, Manish Pandey, जिसको उन्होंने at the end use किया. Manish Pandey, I think we all know the kind of player he has been, but अभी ज़्यादा expectation मनीष पांडे से किसी के नहीं होंगे, because Manish Pandey the player, I think, to be at the best at T20 cricket, I think it's long gone. I think it was good to see him, refreshing to see him as someone who has seen him in the past, and I think it was a good, there was a time when he was not playing and अचानक से now he got that opportunity, which was a very good thing to see. I think though innings may he still showed that he has the ability to be a good batter, but I think the demands of the T20 cricket that are there right now don't really let him become a mainstay in the team. And I think ऊपर से उन्होंने इतने टॉप ऑर्डर प्लेयर लेके रखे हैं कि मनीष पांडे के लिए जगह बनती नहीं है. उन्होंने उसको जब लिया तब ही वॉज प्लेइंग लोअर डाउन द ऑर्डर, बिकॉज वो जो रमनदीप है वो स्ट्रगल कर रहा था, उसको निकाल के उन्होंने ब्रॉट मनीष पांडे टू बैट इन दैट लोअर ऑर्डर, एंड ही इज नॉट अ लोअर ऑर्डर प्लेयर. Likes he, when in his successful years at KKR, he was batting at 3. When he got that 95 whatever it was in that final also, that they won in 2014, he was batting at number 3, and I think that is his position. I think वो उसको वहाँ पे बैटिंग करने का चांस मिला because in the last 2 games Ankush Raghuvanshi got ruled out, and that is why he was promoted up and he got to bat there. He ended up getting 70 runs in those 2 innings. 6 मैच खेला वो, but पहले 4 में बैटिंग ही नहीं मिली because he was batting too low, and they did well, they were winning, तो उसकी बैटिंग आई ही नहीं. और लास्ट 2 मैचेस में he got promoted, he got to bat and he got 70 runs, 143 के strike rate से, which is pretty good I think. And he ended up that one inning against MI, got a 45. It was some good shots he played. So yeah, that is what I feel about him, and probably they will like to keep him as a backup for next year as well. Which will bring me to, I think, Rinku Singh. रिंकू की केस ना बहुत इट इज़ अ वेरी, यू डोंट रियली नो व्हाट टू टॉक अबाउट रिंकू. रिंकू सिंह ने पोटेंशियल तो बहुत दिखाया था जब वो 5 छक्के मारे थे, और उस सीजन में भी ओवरऑल एज अ बैटर ही शोड लॉट ऑफ प्रॉमिस. ये एक ऐसा है कि लोग बोलने लग गए थे कि ही इज अ वेरी गुड फिनिशर दैट इवन इंडिया नीड्स टू एक्सप्लोर, एंड ही गॉट कॉल्ड अप टू इंडिया एज वेल. ही डिड हैव अ कपल ऑफ गुड इनिंग्स फॉर इंडिया टू एज अ बैटर, एंड आई थिंक प्लेइंग लोअर ऑन द ऑर्डर. बट आई थिंक तब से एक बात बन गई कि रिंकू सिंह द प्लेयर इज नॉट जस्ट अ फिनिशर, और उसको शायद से ऊपर खिलाना चाहिए. I am not someone who completely agrees or disagrees with it. Maybe he might become a better player at four, but we've seen enough for him to become a good finisher. And I think जब उसको मौके मिलते हैं तब उसने उतना उसका फायदा नहीं लिया है. इस season also he was average, not bad. He had his moments. He had two couple of 50s that could two back-to-back 50s he got. I think that game against Rajasthan he got dropped some at the start in the inning, and he made sure that they chased it down. It was their first win of the campaign. They were looking like they will lose that also. If that catch was taken, they might have, but he ended up getting that lifeline, and he made the most out of it, and they chased that down. And then against Lucknow, the next game, he got 83, so I think which was his best inning in the campaign. And I think apart from that, there were a few there were a couple of 30s at the start. There was a 49 against RCB, so that was there. But I think apart from these innings, there was a lot of failures as well. He batted 11 times in the 14 matches he played, and in that he got 295 runs, which is pretty good for a lower order player batting at 5. Strike rate was I think slightly lower than what you would want. I think जो एक reputation है big six hitter है, और he plays really well toward the end as well. तो ऐसे player से एक 149 का strike rate is I think low. Uh, I think they will, obviously he is an important player to the team, and they have to kind of look at trying to revolve their plans around him, because he is going to be a talented player that you don't want to let go of. And I think maybe batting him at 4 was something that they could have tried, but I think जो आपने purchase किया था कैमरन ग्रीन को, वो देखते ही you had guaranteed that रिंकू सिंह cannot play in the top 4. You had अंकृश रघुवंशी, रहाणे और फिनालन की आप ओपनिंग पेयर अगर करते हो, या किसी को भी रहाणे के साथ ओपनिंग करवाते हो, तो भी रघुवंशी और ग्रीन 3-4 पे थे. So only if Green was batted as another opener in place of Finn Allen, only then could Rinku bat at 4. And I think 4 पे उसको खिलाने की जरूरत थी या नहीं थी मेरे को नहीं पता, but उसको जब 5 पे खिलाया तब he had a pretty average season, and I think he was okay. And he will have to make sure that he becomes comfortable batting there, because this is probably his number for the future, for the next year as well. Because Green को तो शायद से आप 4 पे ही रखोगे, तो he'll have to bat at 5. And I think he did okay. I think he might get to captain the team next year. You never know. They made him the vice captain, so considering that if they let go of Rahane, he will have to be the one who becomes captain. And you don't know what will exactly happen. I think with Rahane, it as a captain, I think there was a few controversies as well. That a lot of criticism was there from the media, and people were coming in defense, coming attacking him as well. And players as well. I think Weber and कुछ तो दो तीन some reels he had liked, which suggested about how bad Rahane has been as a captain, and there is someone from your team doing that to the captain, which is not really showing too good relations in there. So I think Rahane को शायद से अगर जाने दिया तो maybe Rinku will have to captain, and I think that is going to be a big responsibility if he gets it. So I think you don't know how he'll take it, and I think as a captain maybe he might do well as well. And so I think he'll have to probably make himself comfortable batting at 5, because that is probably his going to be his number. एंड दैट विल ब्रिंग मी टू कैमरन ग्रीन, जिसको उन्होंने 25 करोड़ दे के खरीदा था. एक बहुत बड़ा बाय था वो, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ देयर प्लान्स वर completely dependent on how well he does. I think Andre Russell को जाने दिया, even though Andre Russell in the last few years has not been that good. He was a finisher batting lower down the order, and he was someone who's consistently a good bowling option. एंड कैमरन ग्रीन को जब आपने लाया तो एक ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्लेयर्स का वो है ही कि आता है नहीं आता है जाता है वापस, बॉलिंग करने में नखरे है, ये सब वो होता है. तो आई थिंक पहले 3 मैच में तो उसने नखरे दिखाया, बॉलिंग की भी नहीं. Later on he started bowling, bowled pretty fine. I think 10.64 economy is not good, but I think for someone who's not your main 5 bowler में से एक, it was fine I think. And he was pushed to bowl more than he would as a because he was the third seamer in that team, क्योंकि उनके पास seam options कम थे, and that is why they were playing heavily on spin, and Green was used as the third seamer, and I think because of that maybe he had to bowl a little more than he would have liked. And I think that he picked up 7 wickets in 10 games, and ended up getting those wickets, but not like he was very impressive with the ball. With the bat as well, I think toward the start of the tournament, he was completely struggling. He was really not really getting bat on ball. Hitting तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं हो रही थी, वो तो अलग बात, but batting normally भी नहीं हो रही थी. But I think that game against GT, जैसे मैंने बोला कि they I think from there they lost that game, but they started to become a better team from that point. And I think he got 79 in that game, and things started to look positive for them. And I think from there he batted pretty well. He was consistently there, 330 plus scores after that, 150 as well. So I think he did redeem himself pretty well. I think bowling may he was okay. Batting may overall I would say still just fine, not great. Because toward the end he did make it at least okay, not because toward the start to completely it was not good. I think if you don't bring the price tag as well for a player that you are putting your trust in, आपने foreigner slot उसको एक दिया है, so you expect him to give you those kinds of results. What his exactly profile is, he's a fast bowling all rounder who likes to bat in the top order, आपने उसको एक 3 4 नंबर एक जो दिया था, he has batted there. He would prefer batting as higher as he can, but I think 4 is pretty fine, and I think over there he struggled, and I think that is not justified for the the price tag. तो आप अगर लाते हो तो that definitely was not justified, but I think there will be positives कि ये एक upcoming player है जो he's someone that is talented. इतना अच्छा T20 player नहीं है जितना वो बाकी formats में, but maybe because a fast bowling all rounder is a rare commodity here in T20 cricket, you might he is going to get that little extra hype, and this has been around. This extra hype for the fast bowling all rounders has been there. Chris Morris को बहुत पैसे देते थे, Sam Curran को बहुत पैसे दिए, Ben Stokes को बहुत पैसे दिए, तो there has been instances where fast bowling all rounders are paid pretty high. Then Pat Cummins को भी बहुत पैसे मिले थे, even though he's not that big an all rounder, but I think that. So I think because of that I would say कि वो एक उनके टीम का एडिशन was I think something that I think they'll want him to do more than what he did this year next year, and I think he was fine. Which will bring me to their finishers, and I think Ramandeep और Robin Powell को उन्होंने वो फिनिशर का बैटिंग एट नंबर 6 नंबर 7 वो वाला रोल दिया था, एंड आई थिंक रमनदीप सिंह की अगर पहले बात करनी है तो रमनदीप सिंह मेरे को नहीं पता ये क्यों है टीम में और व्हाट एग्जैक्टली ही डज, लाइक आई सेड कि ये बंदा एक बैटर है जो बॉलिंग करता है या एक बॉलर है जो बैटिंग करता है या कंप्लीटली एन इक्वल ऑलराउंडर है या बस फील्डिंग करता है. आई थिंक द लास्ट ऑप्शन इज व्हाट वी सीन मोर ऑफ फ्रॉम हिम. I think he's a very good fielder, but apart from that, as a batter and a bowler, there has not been really a big impact from him ever. आई थिंक उसको इंडिया के लिए कैसे चांस मिला बिकॉज दे वन दैट सीजन, एंड गंभीर ने बहुत केकेआर के प्लेयर्स को टीम में लिया था व्हेन ही बिकेम कोच तो ऑफ इंडिया. तो आई थिंक रमनदीप सिंह को वो भी मौका मिला है, बट आई थिंक नेवर हैव आई एवर सीन हिम do as well to get that kind of place. I think because he's an all-rounder and he can bowl, that adds some value to your profile as a player. And I think because of that, maybe he got those opportunities. But I think he showed that he's not that good at all. Like 6 matches, 6 innings, 8 मैच में से he got 82 runs at a strike rate of 120. 120 के strike rate से आपका finisher कैसे batting कर सकता है? तो obviously when he was playing they were losing. एंड वो एक इनिंग में उसने 35 बनाया, बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट देयर वाज नॉट रियली एनीथिंग. 82 रन्स ओवरऑल. बॉलिंग में भी जस्ट बोल्ड अ कपल ऑफ टाइम्स, पिक्ड अप अ विकेट इन वन गेम, एंड 11.6 की इकोनॉमी से ही बोल्ड. सो देयर वाज नथिंग रियली फ्रॉम हिम. आई थिंक आई डोंट नो व्हाट exactly is. I think they understood that he is not good enough to be in the team pretty late, but at least they understood it and they replaced him. Manish Pandey को लेके आए. Manish Pandey not like he's a good finisher either, but I think ये रमनदीप से तो experience की वजह से तो better ही आप बोल सकते हो. So I don't know what exactly he'll be doing next year, whether he'll be here or not. But yeah, I think that is what I feel about Ramandeep, which will bring me to Robin Powell, जो भी एक ऐसा प्लेयर है जो मुझे लगता है कि एक उसको भी गलत पोजीशन पे आपने यूज़ किया. ये फिनिशर है नहीं. I think Robin Powell, the player, is someone who bats at number 4 for West Indies. Yeah, wherever else he plays, he bats, somewhere in that as a number 4. Or even a number 3 he could probably play because he likes his, there's a reputation in IPL की आपने because इतने lower order West Indian finishers देखे हैं जो पोलार्ड की बात करो, रसल की बात करो, ब्रावो की बात करो, कि वो एक ऐसा reputation बन गया कि एक West Indian guy who can hit sixes is someone who should be used as a finisher. वही हेटमायर के साथ किया गया, वही एलएसजी ने स्टार्टिंग में पूरन के साथ किया दिस सीजन, एंड इट डिड नॉट वर्क. आई थिंक रदरफोर्ड के साथ मुंबई ने किया. These all players are not lower order finishers. They're all number 3, number 4 players who play for West Indies in that position. Hetmeyer, Powell, Rutherford, they play 3, 4, 5 for West Indies. उन सबको आपने 6, 7 मतलब whoever their whatever teams they had, they played him as finishers. And I think Robin Powell को starting में उन्होंने 2 मैचेस पे पहले लिया नहीं था. They played Muzrabani because they had that weakness in the fast bowling attack. But they later realized कि उनको फिनिशिंग बहुत खराब थी, बैटिंग बहुत खराब लग रही थी, तो एड सम वैल्यू टू इट. Someone who is an international player, he's captain the West Indies. They wanted to give him that opportunity, and I think Powell को लेके उन्होंने फिर एक अच्छा रोप मिला उसको. 7 innings he played in 11 matches. He got to bat 7 times. Just 190 runs at a strike rate of 134. I think एक वो इनिंग थी जहाँ पे उसने 40 रन बनाए. सी ही वॉज कंसिस्टेंटली गेटिंग रन्स. उसने आप 7 इनिंग देखते हो तो एक में फेलियर है, उसके अलावा बाकी इनिंग्स में ही हैज गॉट अबाउट 20+ रन्स ऑल टाइम. बट आप इनिंग्स अगर सुनते हो तो 39 of 24, 31 of 22, 27 of 20, 23 of 20, 40 of 30, 29 of 21, एंड दैट फेलियर 1 of 4. तो आई थिंक सब इनिंग्स के में अगर आप देखते हो तो स्ट्राइक रेट बहुत खराब है, and that is because he was batting out of position also एक तो, and maybe because he's not good enough to play in this league. I think अगर आप ऐसे एक प्लेयर को लाते हो जो आईपीएल में इतना एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, उसको आप एक बहुत डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन में एज अ रोल दे देते हो जो उसका एक्चुअल रोल है ही नहीं, so then it is bound to happen that he will struggle. And I think management decision, whichever this was taken, they had a star cast like Mumbai, like I said. Abhishek Nair को coach बनाया था. I don't want to comment on that. Shane Watson they had Dwayne Bravo, they had a lot of there was a lot of good staff there, and I think I don't know how they used him wrongly like this. And I feel like he should have batted in the top order if they wanted to play him. Otherwise not. I think आप किसी इंडियन प्लेयर को चांस देते थे या दे सकते थे और whatever. But I think उन्होंने you used your foreign player on him, and it did not pay off because he's not someone who is I think I've said this multiple times now, who can do that role. तो आई थिंक वो उन्होंने गलत यूज़ किया उसको. आई थिंक रिटेन भी शायद से नहीं करने वाले थे. इट वाज अ लास्ट मिनट डिसीजन टू रिटेन हिम, एंड दैट वाज प्रॉब्ली बिकॉज आंद्रे रसल को उन्होंने रिलीज किया बिकॉज दे वांटेड दैट बिगर अमाउंट, एंड दे वांटेड समवन हु इज एक फॉरेन प्लेयर बैटिंग करने वाला, हु कैन in their minds play lower down the order. That's why he was retained. And I think I don't know if he'll be retained next year because ज़्यादा कुछ किया नहीं उसने जब खेला था. So that is what I think about him, which will bring me to their spinners. I think I'll start with Sunil Narine, जो एक ऑलराउंडर की तरह उसने बहुत सीजन्स में खेला है उनके लिए, बट दिस ईयर डेफिनेटली वाज नॉट वन ऑफ देम. ही प्लेड प्योरली एज अ बॉलर. एक दो अपॉर्चुनिटीज ओपनिंग की मिली उसको, बट ही कुड नॉट मेक द मोस्ट आउट ऑफ इट. जस्ट 40 रन विद 4 innings, 125 का स्ट्राइक रेट. दैट वाज हेवीली those runs came in that CSK game when he got 24. Apart from that, nothing much with the bat. I think उसकी जो बैटिंग है वो it's not like his main strength. Obviously, bowling is the strength, but batting से जो impact उसने दिया है for KKR even in the season that they won was incredible. And I think that looks like it has passed that. And I think because they have so many other openers, they could not. I think मैंने वही बोला कि शायद से नरीन could still do it, and they could have given him that opportunity had they not had Ajinkya Rahane in that team. I think अगर आप वही देखते हो, uh, so Sunil Narine, the opener, when he was playing with Phil Salt in the season that they won, that opening partnership of two big hitters at the start really worked for them. And even in that season that they won, their middle order was kind of an issue. क्योंकि उसने उन्होंने उस मिडिल ऑर्डर में सब लोग पीछे बैटिंग कर रहे थे. अंक्रिश 3 पे खेलता था. वेंकटेश अय्यर, who's an opener, was batting at 4. अय्यर who likes to श्रेयस अय्यर who likes to bat at 3 or 4, he was batting at 5. रिंकू सिंह को आप बोलते हो 4 या 5 पे खेलना चाहिए, वो तो 5 में 6 पे खेल रहा था. एंड रसल साथ. तो इतनी ये रिंकू मल्टीपल टाइम्स प्लेड एट 7, रसल केम एट 6. तो आई थिंक सबको बहुत लो लो बैटिंग मिल रही थी बिकॉज दे हैड प्रमोटेड नारायण, but it worked because both of the openers did give them run consistently. And I think that really helped them, which now with, I don't know if Narine will still be that batter, but they could not even try it that much because they did not have those options in that batting lineup. And I think Nareen, I will not talk about his batting. I'll come to the bowling, which was, I think, very good. I think with the ball, he bowled really well, like he always does. 6.65 की economy, 13 matches में, and he picked up 15 wickets. 15 wicket for someone who is that economical. Because wicket लेना एक ऐसा चीज़ है ना, जब spinners के most of their wickets, there's like a quite a high amount of their percentage of wickets comes when the batter attacks them. Because that is something that they can, then, with their mystery or whatever, bring it to the picture. When the batter is playing you very carefully, because they know that you're hard to read. It is very difficult to extract those wickets, which he does so well. I think 15 wicket 13 matches में लेना at an economy of 6.65, it is incredible. Nobody's talking about him because KKR didn't do well, but I think he was one of the best bowlers in the tournament, and consistently match after match after match he was not going for runs. He did not pick up like a bunch of wickets in a single game. He was consistently getting 1-2 wickets, but he was doing his job. I think जो choke करने की उसकी जो strength है, when he comes to the into the attack, कि batsman को run नहीं मिलने वाले ये सबको पता है. And that is what he does so well. I think इस जॉन इस जनरेशन ऑफ क्रिकेट में जहाँ पे इतने बड़े स्कोर्स बन रहे हैं, इतने बॉलर्स को इतना पेलते हैं, उसमें भी consistently being at that level, I think how he does is incredible. And he was again very 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 impressive. Which will bring me to another all-rounder, kind of I think bowling all-rounder who he bats a little towards the in the lower order, and that is Anukul Roy, who's been around for a quite some time. I think he did not get his opportunities consistently. This year he did. I think batting थोड़ी कम मिली, but bowling में I think he impressed well. I think 9.6 की economy थी for someone who's not really that experienced. It was, I think, pretty good. Picked up 9 wickets in 12 innings. Again, very much fine. I think he was playing as a part of the three spinners with Varun Chakravarti and Narayan, and I think he did, I think, pretty well. I think 12 innings when 9 wickets he picked up, and 52 runs with the bat. Not much. I think didn't get much opportunity to bat. I think he's definitely, I think, is a good fielder as well. So I think he does a lot of it improves their team in terms of balance a lot. and I think that helps. I think usko they definitely will look to continue with him going into the next year. Their strength always has been playing with three spinners, and दो अच्छे spinners तो already आपके पास नरीन और चक्रवर्ती में है, उसके साथ they found who they can pitch, and I think Chakravarti or Narine who are those spinners with Chakravarti that is spinner, Narine who is that mystery kind of a bowler. They have a left-handed left arm bowler, simple. It I think complements well, and I think Anukul Roy did impress quite a lot. Which will bring me to the third spinner, that is Varun Chakravarti. I think Chakravarti ko uh, he had his struggles in the World Cup as well. Uska form before the World Cup and during the World Cup was a big difference. पहले बहुत अच्छा चल रहा था एंड वर्ल्ड कप में एक बहुत डिप हुआ एंड ही वाज गेटिंग टारगेटेड जो पहले नहीं होता था. आई थिंक ही वाज समवन जैसे मैंने नरीन की बात की उसके अगेंस्ट बैटर्स वर ट्राइंग टू जस्ट प्ले इट सेफ बिकॉज दे न्यू कि इट वाज हार्ड टू पिक हिम एंड टेक हिम ऑन. तो आई थिंक बैटर्स स्टार्टेड टू पिक हिम, स्टार्टेड टू टेक हिम ऑन एंड ही स्टार्टेड टू गो फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ रन्स. वो उसका जो मिस्ट्री एलिमेंट था वो आई थिंक वैनिश होते हुआ दिखा वर्ल्ड कप में, and that I think continued to some extent in the IPL. I think he did have quite a few good games as well. A very average season, very inconsistent season, you would say. When he went for runs, he went for a lot of runs, and when he had his moments, he picked up wickets as well. तो एक मैच में तो 3 for 14 in 4 overs ऐसे भी मैचेस उसने किए. तो दो मैचेस में उसने तीन तीन विकेट लिए थे. couple of them he had 2 wickets each. तो I think 11 मैच में 11 विकेट overall. Economy was 8.7. He would say that it is fine overall. I think as a player who plays for India, you would still want it to be better. But I think for a team which was struggling, he did well. I think coming off, a lean patch, I think he did okay. I think, and he had his moments. I think inconsistency issues. I think consistency issues, inconsistency was there, and I think he'll get better. I think he's a very smart bowler, you would think, and I think he'll definitely improve from this and come back better next year. So that is for their spinners, which will bring me to the fast bowlers. I think, and I'll start with their one pick which was pretty confirmed even before, and I think that was Vaibhav Arora, who was supposed to bowl with Harshit Rana, but he didn't get to with Rana getting ruled out. I think Vaibhav Arora again very inconsistent. Had his moments again, 2 3 good games, but I think apart from that he went for a lot of runs. बहुत मारा उसको. 10 मैच खेला उसने 11 विकेट उसने भी लिए. Economy of 9.74. I think someone who bowls with the new ball, you would expect power play में डालता है तो थोड़ा सा शायद से उसकी वजह से रन देता होगा. बट आई थिंक जो अच्छे मैचेस थे और जो बहुत बुरे मैचेस थे वो ही होते रहे. देयर वाज नॉट रियली मच ऑफ एवरेज गेम्स कि ठीक है आज नहीं है दिन बट बहुत रन तो नहीं खाए. ऐसे नहीं हुआ. अगर दिन था तो अच्छी बॉलिंग की वरना बहुत पिटाई हुई. एंड आई थिंक ही ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द बिगर रीजन फॉर दैट ऑल्सो इज दैट उसको थोड़ी डेथ में बॉलिंग करनी पड़ी जो शायद से उसकी स्ट्रेंथ नहीं है. आई थिंक इज बिगेस्ट स्ट्रेंथ इज द वे ही कैन स्विंग द बॉल बोथ वेज. बहुत अच्छा स्विंग करता है वो, बहुत स्विंग होता है उसका बॉल. एंड आई थिंक विथ if Harshit Rana was there, if Matisha Pathirana was there, they would have had those bowlers in the death. I think Vaibhav Arora को उनको यूज करना पड़ा डेथ में क्योंकि they were एक तो playing just lesser fast bowlers and that is why they had to it was just Green, Tyagi and Vaibhav. तो इसको bowling करनी ही पड़ी डेथ में and that is why maybe he went for more runs than he would have. And I think that is why I would say that it was still an average season, not very bad. And probably would want him to improve and expect him to improve when your main all your bowlers are fit and playing. So that is what I feel about him. Then I'll come to Kartik Tyagi, who was I think their find of the season. Their biggest positive was Kartik Tyagi. Consistently, he became the captain's wicket taking choice. Whenever they wanted a wicket, he was bringing Kartik Tyagi on. He was bowling difficult overs. उसमें उसने बहुत अच्छे से बॉलिंग की. आई थिंक ही वाज देयर हाईएस्ट विकेट टेकर एज वेल. 13 इनिंग में उसने 18 विकेट ली. आई थिंक इकोनॉमी वाज अगेन 9.7, नॉट दैट गुड. बट अगर आप डेथ में बॉलिंग कर रहे हो और 18 विकेट निकाल रहे हो तो वो इकोनॉमी थोड़ी ऊपर नीचे चल जाती है बिकॉज you're bowling tough overs, you're doing the wicket taking job, you are tend to go for a few runs more than if you are just trying to choke the runs. तो एक विकेट टेकिंग बॉलिंग होती है और एक रन रोकने वाली बॉलिंग होती है. तो अगर आप विकेट के लिए जा रहे हो तो आप यू विल गो फॉर रन एंड बिकॉज यू पे टेक दैट गैम्बल एंड आई थिंक because of that they'll be very happy with his performance and I think he did well. So I feel like that is what I think about Kartik Tyagi. I think एक बहुत अच्छा प्लेयर है उनके लिए फ्यूचर के लिए भी, who they will want to invest around. And definitely I think I find that a blessing in disguise with Harshit Rana's injury that they got him and he got to play those matches consistently and become uh, a bowler which they will obviously look to continue with in the future as well. तो दैट विल ब्रिंग मी टू सौरभ दुबे जिसको वैभव अरोरा की जगह पे लिया. वैभव अरोरा को जैसे मैंने बोला बिकॉज ऑफ हिज कंसिस्टेंसी इश्यूज एट वन पॉइंट ही वाज ड्रॉप्ड एंड टुवर्ड द एंड आई थिंक लास्ट 3 4 मैचेस में उसने उन्होंने सौरभ दुबे को लेके आए थे वो, जिसने आई थिंक अच्छी बॉलिंग की. उसने 4 मैच में 5 विकेट लिए 8.2 की इकोनॉमी से. 8.2 इकोनॉमी आई थिंक यू डोंट फाइंड दैट. आई थिंक ही इज अ लेफ्ट हैंडेड बॉलर, बॉल्स विद द न्यू बॉल. वैसा एक बॉलर अच्छा मिला उनको. ही हैड अ कपल ऑफ गुड गेम्स, ओवरऑल प्रीटी गुड 4 games when he played I think in that end in the end those whatever games. and I think again a very good bench option that they have, and they'll like what they saw from him. हर्षित राणा आने के बाद बहुत ऑप्शंस होंगे उनके पास obviously, but he is definitely a good bowler that I think they'll be happy that they gave him that opportunity and he made the most out of it. एंड दैट विल ब्रिंग मी टू नवदीप सैनी, उसको भी चांस मिला एक टीम में, पहले इनिशियली स्क्वाड में नहीं था, उसको लेके आए बिकॉज दे हैड टू प्ले पिक समवन, बिकॉज इतने वो लोग इंजोर हो रहे थे, तो एक रिप्लेसमेंट की तरह उसने फ्रॉम नेट बॉलर ही बिकेम स्क्वाड मेंबर, एंड आई थिंक उसको एक ही मैच में बॉलिंग करने को मिली, उसमें उसने विकेट नहीं लिया, 3 ओवर में 37 रन इवेंट अगेंस्ट लखनऊ दैट गेम, एंड द गेम दैट दे लॉस्ट आई थिंक उसको वो कौन Mukul Chaudhary that chased that game, and he went for runs, and I think from that he was dropped and he didn't play again. uh, थोड़े साल पहले तक he was pretty good. I think he got opportunity to play for India as well, but I think from that it's been pretty much a disappointment. एक pace अच्छा था उसका, that was his big strength at that point, but that pace cannot keep you at the best level, just pace. आपको बहुत variety, variations, you know lines, length, pace, everything you need to variate and be good enough to execute those kind of deliveries which are required in T20 cricket now, and I think he probably did not do that, and I think he has become a net bowler का status kind of मिल गया. So that is what it is about him. Um, and then I'll come to, I think there are two fast bowlers, foreign fast bowlers, and I think that is Muzrabani, जिसको उन्होंने मुस्तफिजुर की जगह लिया. मुस्तफिजुर obviously was their pick from the auction, who they could not play because of that entire situation with Bangladesh. They not didn't BCCI didn't allow Bangladeshi players, and that is why they had to bring a replacement. Blessing मुजराबानी को लेके आए. पहले 2 मैचेस में उसको लिया, उन्होंने पहले मैच में विकेट नहीं लिया, सेकंड मैच ही वेंट 4 for 41, एंड बेचारे को उसके बाद ड्रॉप करना पड़ा बिकॉज ऑफ दे कुड नॉट पिक हिम. पॉवेल को लेके आए, मैं तो अगेन लिटिल क्वेश्चनेबल कि 4 विकेट लेने के बाद उसको क्यों ड्रॉप किया. मे बी यू कुड हैव हैड समथिंग बेटर फ्रॉम हिम, but unfortunate for him. But I think he had that one good game. Maybe for the next year again as a backup, they might look to have him, and he did well I think in that game. तो 2 मैच में 4 विकेट, 10.7 की इकोनॉमी ओवरऑल, he went for runs, but I think that was the time KKR was really struggling. They were losing also, and they lost both the games. So I think you can not really take it all on him. तो आई थिंक उसको ज़्यादा मौके नहीं मिले, तो आई थिंक promising player है जिम्बाब्वे से to come and play in the IPL. It's a big achievement. Only he and I think Sikandar Raza has done it. I don't think anybody else has. तो आई थिंक वो एक बहुत अच्छी अचीवमेंट है फॉर हिम, एंड आई थिंक दैट विल ब्रिंग मी टू मतीशा पथिराना. आई थिंक पथिराना को 18 करोड़ दिए थे, and that was slightly questionable कि 18 crores for him. For CSK when he was doing well, he was pretty good bowler, but एक फॉर्म में डिप जो दिखा था वो क्लियर बहुत एविडेंट था CSK के लिए, because of the slightly unorthodox, you can call it, whatever action. He was getting a lot of injuries. He was facing injury problems, and for that he changed his action. And when he changed his action, his bowling really was not as good as it was before, and it was never the same. I feel like at that in whenever he was bowling that way, and that is why CSK probably thought that they would do better off without him at a 13 crore price that they had retained him for. So he was released by Chennai, and I think uh, he was bowling a lot of wides. If you remember last year for Chennai, he was not doing well at all. तो वो हुआ, and I think this year at the World Cup के just पहले से या वर्ल्ड कप में भी जब वो खेल रहा था तब he had start to look like the same bowler. He was bowling with the action that he used to, and he was becoming someone who was bowling those Yorkers, pace से stumps को attack करने वाला bowler जो वो था. He had become that again, and I think that probably gave them a lot of hope. But World Cup में ही बंदा unfortunately injure हो गया, and they could not get him in the entire tournament. एक मैच में उसको बाद में he got the NOC from the board, and he came traveled to India. Sat out a couple of games before he was completely fit and ready. He played, and I think उसी मैच में 8 बॉल डाल के he got again injured, and then missed the rest of the campaign. तो injury prone player के लिए इतना बड़ा amount was a big gamble anyways. I think एक ही मैच obviously may none for 9 in those 1.2 overs. Nothing much to say again. They'll hope that he's fit, and they'll monitor how he does in these next few months, because they'll have to take a call if they should retain him or not, because otherwise it is just 18 crores wasted, and if he's not going to turn up next year, it will not be something good for them at all. So I think वो है, which will I'll conclude with the last player. I think Tejasvi Dahiya, जिसको the wicket-keeper batter who was slightly hyped up because he had some good run in domestic. I think उसको last में 2 matches मिले because he's a wicket-keeper. अंकुरिश रघुवंशी, he got ruled out, and that is why they had to get someone who could keep wickets, and he got opportunities. 2 मैच में बैटिंग की, just 12 रन, 80 का स्ट्राइक रेट था, so nothing good. I think not impressive, but वो मुंबई वाला गेम I think everybody saw. तिलक ने भी बहुत स्लो इनिंग खेली थी. Not a very good and easy bat track to bat on, and unfortunate for him that he got to play there and on his on his debut. and nothing much to say about him. I think maybe continue to be the backup next year as well. तो आई थिंक ये मैं बोलूँगा इनके पास और एक बॉलर था जिसको शायद से चांस दे सकते थे, अगर देना था तो वो था उमरान मलिक, जिसको एक प्रॉपरली नेट बॉलर की तरह ही वो यूज़ कर रहे हैं इवन दो इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ द मेन स्क्वाड। बट या आई थिंक उसको भी चांसेस नहीं मिले। एंड या आई थिंक दैट केकेआर को बहुत आई थिंक कैप्टनसी से ही स्टार्ट करने की ज़रूरत है टू मेक चेंजेस। आई थिंक यू सॉ पॉजिटिव्स, ऐसा नहीं है कि इस टीम में दम नहीं। आई थिंक हर्षित राणा अगर आया, पथी राणा अगर फिट होता तो ये टीम शायद से इससे बेटर करके मे बी क्वालिफाई भी कर सकती थी, बिकॉज दे वर प्रीटी क्लोज एट द एंड। 13 पॉइंट्स पे उन्होंने फिनिश किया एंड आई थिंक पहले 6 मैचेस में एक भी नहीं जीता था, वो एक नो रिजल्ट था। और उसके बाद 4 इन अ रो दे वन, लॉस्ट वन एंड अगेन वन 2 इन अ रो। तो आई थिंक एंड देन लास्ट गेम हार गए, बट एक वो जो स्पेल था जिसमें 7 मैच में बैक टू बैक 6 मतलब 7 में 6 मैचेस वो जीते। तो आई थिंक दे आर अ टीम दैट इज स्टिल हैविंग दैट पोटेंशियल, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली एक बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम उनमें है कि बैटिंग को आई थिंक वो सही से बैट्समैन को उनके एग्जैक्ट रोल के तरह यूज़ नहीं करते हैं। बॉलिंग में भी मैं बोलूँगा कि बॉलर्स को अनफॉर्चुनेटली इंजरीज हुई उनकी, और बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आई थिंक के आर स्ट्रगल्ड अलॉट। दे डू बेटर नेक्स्ट ईयर, बट आई थिंक दे हैव टू चेंज अलॉट। आई थिंक कैप्टनसी की पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अजिंक्य रहाणे शायद से आई डोंट थिंक विल कंटिन्यू unless they are thinking कि there is no, I mean there is not much options going to be available in the market anyways. So maybe because of that they will have to continue. Otherwise, I think it's a good opportunity to maybe give Rinku Singh the opportunity and say, we are giving you that chance to captain, and you want to see how it is if they have that much trust in him. Performances from him as a batter did not come that well, but I think if they have made him the vice captain with some thought, then they might consider making him the next captain, because I don't think they're going to get like a proper captain जो अभी जैसे श्रेयस अय्यर है, जैसे ऐसे जो कैप्टन है वैसा कैप्टन मिलना मुश्किल है। तो मे बी they'll have to do that, but yeah, I mean I don't know, but जो उन्होंने श्रेयस अय्यर को जाने दिया था after he won the trophy with them as captain, I just did not understand, because he's you've seen what kind of progress he's made as a player after that. I think last year Champions Trophy maybe he performed well. He was the highest run getter for India and we won. उसके बाद IPL में he took पंजाब to the final, scoring a lot of runs. फाइनल में ऑब्वियसली हार गए, बट उधर तक लेके गए पंजाब को। आफ्टर 12 years they went to a final, and second only second final that ever been with in, and तो वो एक उसने as a captain he did that. After that he's been doing well for India in ODI, T20 में भी उसको अभी कैप्टनसी मिल गई है आफ्टर सूर्य कुमार यादव। तो एक बहुत अप उसके अपवर्ड डायरेक्टर ट्रेजेक्टरी में श्रेयस अय्यर का करियर हैज टेकन ऑफ फ्रॉम दैट पॉइंट, एंड केकेआर का एग्जैक्टली उल्टा हुआ है सिंस दे हैव लेट हिम गो। एंड आई थिंक आई डिड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड, आप कैप्टन को जो आपके लिए ट्रॉफी जीता है, जो ट्रॉफी जीतना मुश्किल है इतना, I don't know how you can release him. I think because of that they're struggling in the last couple of years. कि अगर आप ऐसे ही अगर जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इट इफ यू वांट टू से, अगर आप रखते हो श्रेयस अय्यर को इस टीम में इंस्टेड ऑफ अजिंक्य रहाणे, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल इन टर्म्स ऑफ फाइनेंसेस, आई नो दैट। बट मतलब वॉट एवर बजट जो होता है वो पूरा पर्स, उसमें तो ये फिट नहीं हो सकता स्वॉप, बिकॉज एक तो 26 करोड़ का है, एक तो रहाणे भी इस प्राइस का 2 करोड़ का प्लेयर था। बट अगर होता तो श्रेयस अय्यर इफ वाज बैटिंग एट 4, you could have given Green an opportunity to open. You could have had other players get opportunity to bat a little higher, and Shreyas Iyer is someone who can control the middle really well. So I think एक वो चीज़ उन्होंने मिस की डेफिनेटली। एंड आई थिंक दे हैव, बट लाइक आई सेड कि ऐसा प्लेयर तो अभी आपको वापस नहीं मिलने वाला। आपने एक जो मिला था उस पर आपने उसको छोड़ के गलती कर दी, तो आई थिंक मेगा ऑक्शन तक तो आपको नहीं मिलने वाला कोई डेफिनेटली। तो आई थिंक फॉर दैट रीजन दे फील, आई फील लाइक दे, अनलेस आप देख रहे हो हार्दिक पांड्या सूर्य कुमार यादव के साथ कुछ तो हो रहा है सोशल मीडिया पे भी, दैट सूर्या हैज अनफॉलोड हिज डिलीटेड पोस्ट, रिमूव्ड एमआई फ्रॉम हिज बायो। हार्दिक पांड्या इज क्लियरली नॉट हैप्पी विद एमआई, यू कैन सी दैट इट इज नॉट लुकिंग गुड। तो मे बी देयर इज अ चांस दैट उनको किसी को लेके आप कैप्टन बनाओ, बट पता नहीं। बट आई थिंक रहाणे के साथ तो डेफिनेटली मुझे नहीं लगता कि दिल कंटिन्यू। एंड या आई मीन ओवरऑल आई थिंक पॉजिटिव्स तो मैं बोलूँगा कि है अंकुरिश रघुवंशी, फिनालिन, अनुकुल रॉय भी बोलूँगा, सुनील नारायण कंसिस्टेंसी, कार्तिक त्यागी एक अच्छा बॉलर मिला है। आई थिंक दैट इज द स्ट्रेंथ आई थिंक। बट थोड़े से जो ऐसे खराब प्लेयर्स जो है उनको जाने देना पड़ेगा डेफिनेटली। रमनदीप सिंह बोलो या फिर यू नो अजिंक्य रहाणे का भी परफॉर्मेंस देख के उसको भी बोलो, तो आई थिंक दे हैव टू लेट गो ऑफ दिस प्लेयर्स फॉर देम टू बिकम अ बेटर टीम नेक्स्ट ईयर। एंड कैप्टन एक फिनिशर को भी लेना पड़ेगा, जो आंद्रे रसल की जगह पे आपने शायद से लेना चाहिए था बट आपने ले लिया। मे बी पॉवेल को निकालो और उसकी जगह पे किसी को लेके आओ, एंड मे बी यू हैव टू डू थिंग्स लाइक दैट। कैप्टन इज द मेन प्रायोरिटी आई फील लाइक, unless they decide to continue with Rane, which I don't know what will happen. Obviously, we'll get to see that. But yeah, I think this is what I feel about KKR. Still a pretty decent season compared to what you thought it would be toward the halfway the tournament. 6 मैचेस में एक भी नहीं जीते थे, वहाँ से toward the end they won 6 in the last 8. So I think that is a big achievement. So I think they'll be happy with that and looking to take the positives that they got through those games, as a momentum towards the next season, and make some changes and make the team better in the auction, and hopefully be a better team next year for them. So I think that is what I feel about KKR. I think this is it, and I'll talk about the Delhi Capitals next.